we could fly.
Welcome to this new season of the Have a Cup of Jahani podcast. So I want to title this new season that I'm embarking on with I'm Growing. So this is going to be the season of growth. And that's what I'm going to share with you throughout the season. So I thank you for coming over here and sitting with me. And I hope you enjoy. Welcome, everyone, to Have a Cup of Jahani podcast. Once again, we are in May, and I'm going to self-indulge this month because I just have so much to say when it comes to what I'm writing currently. And let me give you a recap. So I was writing this book. I was writing this manuscript, The Devil That Haunts Me. And I had this story in my head. I am not a person that outlines. So we can debate later the pantser versus plotter debate. And I will always fall somewhere in the middle of that, okay? But nevertheless, okay, that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about this project, which turned into a series of 3 books. Once I found out by getting to know my characters that this is a book that cannot be contained into one singular manuscript, that these characters deserve and needed a book of their own. That's the recap for you. So The Devil That Haunts Me split into 3, which I am currently titling the series as The Devil That Haunts Them. And my characters in these stories are in the realm of the maiden, the mother, the crone, which is, we have the mother, who is Isabella, formerly called Bianca. We have the daughter, the maiden, called Julitza. And we have the crone, the grandmother, who you're often going to see her referred to as La Doña. And those are the characters that I'll be talking about today. How about that for an intro? How did that go? How did that go? I was trying something new. Okay. So are you ready to get into these ladies' head? Let's get it. All right. So as I told you on my previous episode, one of the things that I did when I had to go back and kind of like pause the manuscript was I asked ChatGPT, I was like, hey, take a look at this character that I have. And I have like a dossier for the characters. And I was like, what do you think is their sign? When do you think they would have been born? If they need to be this age when the story begins? And what are the shadow aspects of that astrological sign? And based off of those answers, I was able to layer each of these characters a little bit more. And I also did that to the antagonist. I did that to the important side characters as well in the story. Not all the side characters, but I did it to the important ones, the ones that you will see quite often on the page. And I did that in order to get to know them a little bit more and understand them. And I'll give you an example, right? When I wrote Mrs. Franchi's Evil Ring in the 6 months that changed everything, this is a middle grade book that I wrote last year and published last year. I didn't write it last year. Listen to a previous episode. I rewrote that bad boy like so many times. But I published it last year on 2023. And the thing is that when it comes to on Scrivener, the character pages in there, I had additional pages under Isla where I had detailed scenes of things that occurred in her past. So if you have read or you're fixing to read Mrs. Franchi's Evil Ring and the 6 months that changed everything, you would find out that Isla went through a traumatic event, which kind of shapes her. And that is what kind of like sets this story into motion. right? So based off of that traumatic event, it is why Isla reacts the way that she does when she meets this new step parent. And once you understand that and you see small glimpses of this throughout the book, then the reader understands why her reactions are the way that they are. And when everything just comes to head on the third act, people understand why it is what it is, why it's so emotional. And it's because we understand from the beginning of the story that Isla has been holding on to these experiences throughout the duration of the manuscript. So it makes it for emotional read. It makes it for some tension there, for raising the stakes and those kind of things, right? That keeps the reader reading. And I did that because I like to read character-driven stories. And because that's what I like to read, I want to give that to other readers as well. And I get a kick out of writing character-driven stories as well, because I was trying to explain it to somebody. It's almost like acting, but I don't have a camera in front of me. I just have my keyboard. So it's like I embody that character. And there's bits of that character that are also part of me because I'm the creator of that character. So what's in me goes into that character. So it's easy for me to also put myself in that character's shoes. So like I said, it's almost like acting because I do put myself in their shoes and then I act it out through my keyboard when I do the dialogue or when I do internal monologues and all those things that are pretty much just character centric. I think I only put on kind of like my author hat a bit whenever I do the descriptive pieces in a scene or the narrative pieces in the scene and all of that, where I get to kind of like look out and sometimes put little things in there, just objective things, not preachy things, because I also don't want my books to be kind of like this preachaholic thing to the reader, because I don't like it when I feel like the book is talking down to me or is telling me what to do. Like, I don't ever need a book to tell me what to do. I just need a book to explain to me how the character feels and what the character is doing and what the character is learning. And then I will take what I need to get from reading about that character. So that's kind of like what I try to do in my books as well, because I give what I would like to be given as well. But back to my ladies, let me tell you about them, because they're out of this world. So when I started writing The Devil That Haunts Me, I was like, this is the mom's story. At first I wrote it as the daughter's story, but that I couldn't finish that because there wasn't enough there. And then I embarked on another rewrite, and I was like, for real, this is going to be the mom's side of the story. And it was like a mixture of mom and daughter. So I had to stop that. And now finally that I'm here on this third rewrite and a whole retitling of the manuscript, which is now under the Flamboyan Tree. Now it fits. Now it feels like home. Now it feels like I'm en route to the ending, to the finish line, as opposed to before. It just didn't feel that way. And I think that's because the manuscript is more focused on the mom and her experience. Now you're going to see in here that is tied in to the other two ladies, but it's more subtle. They're not interwoven in here. This is mom, right? So this is Isabella and how Isabella learns. But because Isabella needs to look at her past, which is connected with her mom, La Doña, then we see glimpses of that. But I think in my previous two renditions of this manuscript, it was muddled. I hadn't conceptualized the stories in its separate form. and I was kind of like melding them together as I was writing it, and it wasn't making sense to me. So if I, as the writer, the author of this story, I'm not understanding, can you imagine? I mean, the reader will be even more confused. So that's one of the reasons why it just wasn't jiving for me and why I needed to do rewrites. That's, folks, that's the way that I write. I write through rewriting.
We'll be right back.
Whispers in the shadows. A chill in the air that grips your soul. The past isn't dead. It's alive. It's waiting. It's the devil that haunts me. From the mind of J.E. Ortega comes a tale so chilling, it blurs the lines between vengeance and redemption, reality and nightmares. Meet Isabella, a woman haunted not just by the ghost of her daughter, but by the sins of her past. As the walls of her sanity crumble, can she escape the grip of a spectral menace? Or will her demons consume her? Dive into a world where every page crackles with suspense, where every chapter peels back the layers of a curse so profound it echoes through generations. The Devil That Haunts Me isn't just a story, it's an experience, a journey through the darkest corridors of the human heart. Are you brave enough to face the devil? Are you ready to uncover the truth that haunts us all? Find out in The Devil That Haunts Me, available wherever books are sold. Pre-order your copy today and confront the devil within. El diablo te espera. The devil awaits. All my books, by the time you read them, you would be reading like the 10th, 12th rendition of that manuscript. It's, yeah, it would never be a single digit. I just, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe later on, after like my 10th book, right? I'll draft it and it'll be like maybe just 5, 7 renditions, right? As opposed to 10 or 12. Who knows? Maybe. Okay. But let me read you these character sheets because that's what you're here for. You're here to learn about these characters. And vamos a hacer bochinche aquí, ¿ok? Ok, vamos a tirar chisme bien rapidito. So, this is Isabella Prescott, right? Pero Isabella Prescott, what I'm telling you right here, this woman right here, this is kind of like la fachada. This is a facade that she put on when she did her papers to come to the U.S., right? So, her real name is Bianca Ramirez. Right? Bien ethnic, bien de la isla, you know, and all of that, right? And if you're Dominican and you're listening to this, you know that we Dominican folks, we love to make up a name and we love to give these creative names to our children, right? Kind of like Bianca when she makes that to get married to Tom, to this dude, right, who has papers, who is a natural citizen of the United States. So she marries him, she gets her papers. She sees that as kind of like, ooh, this is my way into what she feels is kind of like civilization, what she feels is kind of like the winning entry, right? Opening that door to the prize, right? That's how she feels. So she's like, Bianca Ramirez is not worthy to step into the United States because that's her new life. She's embarking on her new life. So she changes her name. She takes her husband's last name, which is an American last name, and completely drops everything else that marks her as having come from the Dominican Republic and having the past that she had. So at the beginning of the book, you will see that she is Isabella Prescott. And you will see this very bougie woman that tries so hard to be something that she's not quite that. And here I have her as she is living in Nantucket, Massachusetts with her husband. She is 43. Her birthday is September 29th, which makes her a Libra. And here it is. Here's what ChatGPT gave me. Libras are known for their desire for harmony and balance. And you see that. You see that at the beginning. This lady tries so hard to kind of like subvert herself in order to have balance and harmony in her home with her husband. And that's kind of like the crux of it all. Because to have harmony and to have balance, Bianca Isabella, she sacrifices herself. She sacrifices her happiness. And I tapped into that. If you would have listened to some of my previous episodes on the podcast, you know that there was a time in my life when to please others, I made myself smaller. So I have a little bit of emotional connective tissue to this character when it comes to that. And I tap into that to get through and be able to explain the emotions, the why, the reasoning behind this when it comes to Isabella. But back to her character. So she has a desire for harmony and balance, which aligns with Isabella's efforts to maintain peace within her family, despite the internal and external turmoil. So you will see later on that she's fighting through her demons of her past. There are certain flashes that she has, certain dreams that she has, which she continues to push and shove away deep inside her mind until something happens. Nevertheless, Libras, they're also characterized by a strong sense of justice and fairness, and mirroring Isabella's deep but conflicting desire to right the wrongs of her past and present. This is her drive, people. Okay, so this kind of like sense of justice and fairness is what drives her during the second act to the third act, and it scares her as well, because she has currently I'm writing the beginning of the third act, and she has to come to terms with how dependent she has become on her husband. While she was seeking harmony and balance, she had become a symbiotic part of Tom Prescott, her husband. And she had lost herself, her independence, her freedom, her ability to be a person because of this. Se aferró. She just was single-mindedly going for harmony and balance. And now she has put herself in a predicament where for her to seek justice, now it puts her at a harsh disadvantage. And that's what I'm writing right now, that realization that she has, that fear that she has, that she will have to push through. Once again, on my character sheet right here, once we get past the birthday and the personality reflection based on the astrological sign, now we have the role in the story. And then I put in here that Isabella is the MC, which means the main character, whose journey of self-discovery and redemption forms the heart of the narrative. So just like I told you, right? So I took the side of her personality that is attached to the astrological sign of Libra, and I turned that kind of like into her character arc, right?
into where she's going and why she's going there. That is how I was able to outline it after doing this character sheet, this character dossier on Isabela, because now I understand that she's starting at this point, this very low point in her life, and she wants to seek justice, but because of her choices, she has created obstacles, which now she has to overcome. So that's her character arc there. And I put in here as well, her struggle with her past, her identity, and the aftermath of her daughter's death propels the story forward. This is what propels her forward, is that having to face that, the loss of her child, and understanding how her actions and inactions may have played a part in some of those things. And like I said, may have played a part in putting the obstacles that she now has in her own life. That is what brings tension to the story. And it's just little things like Isabella, she goes forward one step, right? And then she stumbles. And then she's like, shit, this is my doing, and then it's almost like she regresses a bit, because to save herself, to survive her past, in a way, she had to create this kind of persona, and she had to create the life that she created in order to survive that and in order to overcome that. But what she sees when she gets to the Dominican Republic and she sees the people that she left there, that she starts to rethink that perhaps she didn't needed to do those things to survive. Perhaps there could have been another path for her. And she sees that through the mirror of her childhood friend, Yolanda. Past Act 2. That's when I bring in that character. And I like to do that because I like to kind of like show a mirror to the main character of what could have been, but still have that main character still seek redemption, still seek self-forgiveness, and still go through the resiliency skills necessary to overcome those feelings and those emotions to become a better version of themselves in the end of the book. And then for each character, each of my ladies, I have who is the devil that haunts them, because that's the series. Each of these ladies have a devil, un diablo, que la persigue. And it could be figuratively or it could be a real life person. And in most of the characters is both. And you will get to see that and read that. The devil that haunts these ladies are people, men that have harmed them, that have scarred them. And at times, sometimes it's their own choices as well. So I have that for each character. And the goal for Isabella is to uncover the truth behind her daughter's death. And once she finds that, which I have written past that, is to reconcile with her own role in the events leading up to it and to seek forgiveness and redemption for herself. So that is the goal of this lady. I'm going to continue reading a little bit more. Her personality, she's a complex character. She has to be. She's my main character. She is marked by resilience and a deep-seated fear of poverty. That's what kind of drives her decisions and justifications for staying in a toxic marriage, for having done what she did, because she just feels like she needed to do that to kind of like surpass her beginnings and bring out her daughter out of those beginnings as well. And because she's so laser focused, she was so laser focused on that, she didn't see, she missed the signs, right, of the dangers of the devil that was there right in front of her. And you will see that bit of recognition and later on redemption. I'm reading. Okay. Let me give you, like, I put a lot of notes in here because as I think things through and I kind of like get to know the character in my head, I come up with things to add on, the things that they may have experienced in the past and so forth, so forth. So I put a lot of details towards the end of the character sheets. I add on to what Scrivener gives me. So here it is, more details for Isabela. Born Bianca Ramirez in San Francisco de Macorís, Dominican Republic. She embodies kind of like this complex interplay of identity, survival, and maternal guilt. Yes, I know maternal guilt all too well. Her transformation from Bianca to Isabella marks a deliberate effort to shed her past that is marked with hardship and abuse, and a past that has shaped her worldview and kind of like her ethos as well. And I put in here that the flight from de Santiago to Nueva York is kind of like this metamorphosis for her. It's kind of like, when the worm becomes a butterfly kind of thing, and she becomes new. And I put in here that she came here with a fiancé visa, right? Followed by a marriage to Tom that she got really fast, unnaturally fast, due to the connections that Tom has. And more on those connections I put on Tom's character sheet. And se aferró a Tom. She kind of like attached to the hip with Tom because he brought her security. He brought her comfort, and everything that was different from her beginning was reflected on Tom. And because of that, she thought this man was safe. And I put in here a little bit about Tom, that he's a wealthy lawyer and politician. And while Isabella, in the back of her mind, she knows that there are some moral failings on her husband, she doesn't think that it's that bad. She just thinks that it goes to the point like regular, normal moral failings that a general politician will have. And as she uncovers more, then that's when the guilt starts setting in. And that is what propels her to go back to the Dominican Republic and kind of like find out what led her to make the decisions that she made in the present moment. And she understands, she has this intuition that she needs to examine her past to understand why she did the things that she did. And coincidentally, when she goes and examines the past, her house has this flamboyant tree that is filled with memories of La Doña and even her daughter, who, while she stayed with her grandmother when Isabella left for the States before she was able to bring her over, she's also there. So the memories of these three women are there with the tree. And through the tree, Isabella learns about her past. And by understanding that, she's able to understand what happened in the present. And more importantly, she's able to understand how she can move forward into the future. So there you go. Isabella/Bianca is a very complex character, and I couldn't have it any other way for my main character, my MC. Right. And I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you find some similarities with Isabella, as for sure as I did. And I hope you enjoy it when you get to read her in this book, Under the Flamboyant Tree. And stick around for the other ladies. I took too long explaining Isabella, and I'm thinking that I'm going to take real long explaining the other two ladies. Who knows? We'll see. But come back next Wednesday for another character peel back dossier. Get to know my characters on The Devil That Haunts Them. How about that? Come back. Bye.
Oh, we could fly. Thank you so much for listening. I want to hear from you. Leave me a comment, do a rating if you can on the podcast, share it with somebody you love, but most importantly, come back. See you next time. Bye. Are you ready to embark on a captivating journey of resilience and revelation? Get ready to immerse yourself in the extraordinary world of Isla Delgado, a 9-year-old girl who has experienced more than her fair share of trauma. Isla's life takes a dramatic turn when she's forced to live with her dad and his new wife for 6 months. Her anxiety intensifies as she becomes convinced that her stepmom is an evil witch. But Isla is determined to protect herself and expose her stepmom's true nature. As the gripping story unfolds, Isla discovers that things aren't always as they seem. Join her on a transformative journey of self-discovery, where she learns that even the most traumatic experiences can be triumphantly overcome with the power of love and understanding. People are saying, while the alarming trend of attempting to ban books continues in the United States, this book is a fantastic reminder of the power that books have. A child will read this story and feel seen, heard, and hopefully feel some peace. For children of the appropriate age, this book provides the opportunity for a wonderful exercise in empathy. The message of the story is truly something a lot of children out there and even some adults might need to hear. Mrs. Franchi's Evil Ring and the 6 Months That Changed Everything is a heartwarming tale that explores the profound theme of family, trust, and the power of compassion. This inspiring story will leave listeners of all ages feeling uplifted and inspired. Don't miss out on this middle grade read and be prepared to be captivated by a story that will touch your heart and ignite your imagination. Mrs. Franchi's Evil Ring is available everywhere books are sold.